I'm standing here at Chabad Double Bay alone, and in a few hours we will be ushering in the Shabbos. But unlike every other Shabbos where the shuls are open and people come to celebrate together, this Shabbos no one will be in shul. The shuls will be empty here and throughout the world. And firstly, I'd like to wish you all a good Shabbos. May this Shabbos be a very special one for you and your families, although you'll be celebrating it not with the community and not in shul, but in other ways. May we find the inspiration, find the depth and the meaning behind this Shabbos. And I'd like to share with you a thought from this week's parsha. This Shabbos we read about the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, which Hashem tells Moshe to tell the people to build, so I will dwell in it. And in fact, every shul in the world is a mikdash bi'at, is a replica of this Mishkan, which we read about in this week's parsha, which I find very ironic. Out of all Shabbosim, out of all the weekends, this is the parsha which we read this Shabbos, the Shabbos where shuls will be closed and we'll be davening at home. The Shabbos where we are commanded to build the ultimate shul, the Mishkan, the tabernacle. This Shabbos, shuls are closed. And that's very ironic. And in fact, in addition to that, there's something else about this week's Torah portion, Vayakal Pikudei, where all the laws of Shabbos, everything that we don't do on Shabbos, there are many don't do's on Shabbos. The observance of Shabbos is derived from this week's parsha. And this is the Shabbos which we are not celebrating it in shul. So we have to understand it, we have to find personal meaning in this. I'm going to share with you a story. In the year, it was about the year 68 CE. The leader of the Jewish people, his name was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And he foresaw that the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, of the second temple, which happened in the year 70 CE, he foresaw that it was coming. Now it's a long story, but the gist of it is, he had a meeting with Vespasian, who was a Roman general at that time, before he became emperor. And the general saw that he was a special man, and he turns to him and he says, I grant you a request. What is your request? And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai turns to him and he says, I want three things. And I'm going to share with you one of the things that he asks for. He asks for Yavne and its scholars. The city of Yavne was the center of Jewish study and academia at that time. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai foresaw that there will be the destruction of the temple, so he asked that we should spare the scholars and Jewish study. And only later, when we look back, do we see what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was really doing. What he was doing was he was preserving Yiddishkeit, but he was transferring the focal point of Yiddishkeit from the Mishkan, from the tabernacle, to study, to Torah study. You see, by preserving Yavne and its scholars, what he was really trying to do was create, transfer, move the focal point, the center of Yiddishkeit, from the Mishkan, from the Beit HaMikdash, which was going to be destroyed, but he was moving it to a new destination, to a new place. And the new place was for every single person to study Torah. By preserving that, he preserved Yiddishkeit. And in a sense, you could say that's what's happening now. That the Yiddishkeit is moving, at least temporarily, from the shuls to our homes. And every single home has to become a little shul. Every single home has to be a place of prayer, has to be a place of study, and a place of kindness. You know, in times as such, in difficult times as such, our personal space, and that's really what this is about, our personal space has to become holy. So perhaps this transfer from the shul to our homes is not a downgrade, but it's something that Hashem is doing for us to elevate our homes and our personal space. I'll share with you a story. This is with Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks. So about 15 years ago, he visited Israel with a group of executives, of his executives, and he visited a Rosh Yeshiva, an esteemed rabbi, and he comes into his study, and the rabbi turns to him and his executives and asks the following question: What have we learned from the Holocaust? And everybody was stunned by the question because it's a very broad one. And there was silence in the room, and one of them spoke up and said, "We learned never again. It should never happen again, something of this nature." And the rabbi shrugged it off, and after some discussion, the rabbi says, "You know what we learned from the Holocaust? We learned that when 5 people are handed one blanket in the cold winter, how much of the blanket are you going to use for yourself, or how much of it are you going to share with the next person? Because at trying times as such, the question that's being asked from us is, how much in these difficult times will I also care about other people?" So part of our Mishkan, part of our tabernacle, which we are building in our own personal space at this time, not in the shul, but in our personal space, is to remember to be kind to other people and to reach out to other people at this important time. So tonight, when the angels come home, as they do every Friday night, when they come to our home and they're around our Shabbos table, and we greet them with the traditional Shalom Aleichem, tonight may the angels see an illuminated home. A home that is not just a home, but it's also a shul, it's also a place of holiness. It's a place where we have built our Mishkan, our tabernacle, our Beit HaMikdash. And we do that, and when we do our part, the angels will bless us, as they do every Friday night. And this Friday night, may they bless us with only good things and with good health. So I'm just going to conclude with the special song which we're going to sing tonight. And I encourage everyone that tonight at 6:30, at normal time when we would be davening, to open a siddur at your homes, gather your families together, and daven, sing together. And there's no doubt that the angels will bless us this Shabbos. May the angels bless us, may Hashem bless us with good health, with a cure to what's happening in the world today, and with only good things. Amen. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Yashares, Malachei Elyo, Mi Melech, Malachei Amelachi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Good Shabbos.